Yes, please check I'm audible, and also I'm sharing PPT is visible. Yes, give me response. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes, I'm audible. Please check. Is anyone give me response?
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Sorry. Is anyone give me response? Yes, I'm audible. Please check. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, now please check. Am I audible? Yes, please check. I'm
Yes, sir.
audible. Yes, sorry. Okay, thank you, ma'am. PPT is also visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, last class we discussed about we started the module 2 gear drives per and the design of spur and helical gear. We started the topic, right? The gears are nothing but is a toothed beak or a teeth which is formed on a cylindrical or cone surface. Those component is called as a gears. Gear drives is a mechanical power transmission device. It transmits both motion and power when it transmits the motion and power between two shafts when the gears are directly contact each other and distance between the shafts are small. Those drives are called as gear drives. Again, the gear drive, how do you the power transmission between the power transmit from one shaft to another shaft? The two shafts it may be a parallel and intersecting, and neither parallel and nor intersecting, neither parallel and nor intersecting, right? In order to transmit the power and motion from one shaft to another shaft, shafts may be parallel or intersecting and neither parallel or nor intersecting. Okay, next slide is visible. Please check the most commonly used types of gears. Let's give me response.
Visible, sir.
Yeah, these are the most commonly used the types of gears. One is spur gear, means the teeth are cut parallel to the axis of the shaft. Helical gear, the teeth are cut at an angle to the axis of the shaft. Those two gears are used. Spur and helical gears are used to transmit the two shafts when two shafts are parallel. Right? When two shafts are parallel, the spur and helical gears are used to transmit the motion and power between the shafts when two shafts are parallel. The bevel gears, the teeth are formed on the conical surfaces. Then the shafts are here, intersecting shaft. The power transmission takes place between the intersecting shaft. Then which type of gear is bevel gears. Then neither parallel nor intersecting. Then I want to transmit the power from one shaft to another shaft. Then we'll go for use worm and worm in. Again, the spiral will come under bevel gears. It may be the teeth are straight. There is a straight bevel gear. If the teeth are curved, then it called as a spiral bevel gears. The rack and pinion, here the rotary motion of the shaft is converted into a linear motion of the another shaft, or it convert rotary motion into linear motion of the component. There is a rack and pinion. Right, these are the commonly used the gears. This classification gears based on some parameter. One is position of the axis, second one peripheral velocity, third one type of gearing, and fourth one position of teeth on the gear surfaces. We classify the gear into based on these four categories. Again, gear terminologies also we discuss. In this very important terminologies, pitch circle. The pitch circle diameter. Pitch circle means pitching point is nothing but when two gears are meshed each other, the contact point of those two meshing gear. That point is called the pitch point, and imaginary circle which is drawn on the gears is called as a pitch circle. The pitch circle diameter will always represent as small d. All the calculations of the design calculations are based on this pitch circle diameter only, right? And one more is very important. The terminology is a module. Pitch circle will represent as small d, and one more, the terminology is module. So module is nothing but along the pitch circle, what is the distance the taken by a tooth, that gives a module. If two gears are meshed each other means those the module of those two gears is same. The module is defined as it is d by z. Remember these formulas. These are basic formulas. Already you know that. Just we'll go for revise that, right? And other some of the terminologies used. Next, standard system based on the pressure angle, along which the common tangent to the base circle, along which the force is transmitted and the power is transmitted from one gear to the another gear. Again, pressure angle, 1 minute. Yes. Pressure angle is nothing but the angle between a common tangent to the base circles of the gears and common tangent to the pitch circle of the gears. That is called as pressure angle. Usually we use type of gear, it is type of profile we use here, involute profile. In that it may be a 14.5 degree pressure angle or 20 degree or 20 degree stub involute. How the gear tooth are failure? Gear tooth are failure due to three reasons. One is due to static load, second one is dynamic load, and third one is due to surface destruction. The surface destruction is also called as a wear load. This beam strength of the spur gear tooth or Lewis equation. Now consider a gear tooth. It looks as a cantilever beam because along the common tangent to the base circle, the force is acting on one gear to the another gear. Resolve that force, the normal force, into a two component. One is radial force that gives a compressive stress on the gear. Another one is a tangential force that is tries to rotate the gear from one gear to the another gear, that is tries to transmit the motion of power from one gear to the another gear. That is a which force here is a tangential force. That's a very important, right? Then you consider a beam consider a gear tooth as a cantilever beam, then you go for derive it, then you will get a beam strength. What is the maximum load that gear teeth can take, right? That is by referring equation number 23.93. This is a get a tangential tooth load for a gear, or it is also called as a Lewis being Lewis equation. The Lewis is the scientist's name. Next, we discussed design of spur gear. As you know, the design of spur gear. Spur gear is one of the mechanical element. Okay, it is an iterative process of assigning the specification of spur gear to withstand the load or to do its function. Function is to transmit the both motion and power from one shaft to the another shaft with the help of spur gear. Now, what are the specification of spur gear? These are the specification. The four important things. One is the shape. Second one is size. Third one metal composition and methods. Fourth one is arrangement of parts. When it comes to shape, the what type of profile will you use, either involute or cycloidal. In that, we concentrate only the design of spur gear is only a involute tooth profile, not cycloidal. In the involute tooth profile, you can see that what is the pressure angle we use, the 14.5 degree, 20 degree full depth involute, 20 degree stub. Now, what is the size of the gear we are going to determine here? One is diameter, physical diameter of the gears, and it may be driving or driven gear. Another one is module. After that module, again some other dimensions also will go for calculate. Other dimensions also will go for calculate. These are the related to size. Metal composition means gears are usually made up of cast iron, steel, and bronze and other composite material, depend upon the applications. And then you go for again heat treatment process to increase the surface hardness. Okay, there is increase the BH value, Brenner hardness number. Then how the parts are arranged, if it is external gearing or internal gearing. Then what are the loads acting on the gear? One is static load, that is the magnitude and direction of the load does not changes with respect to time. And it is also called a steady load. Steady load means the velocity at which the gear rotates, the constant velocity, the speed is constant. That is also called as a steady load or static load. Both magnitude and direction does not changes with respect to time. Those load are called as a static load. Again, the static load is considered as a normal load. That normal load is split into two components. One is a tangential tooth load, another one is a radial or compressive load acting on the gear. Here in this, which one you consider? You consider only a tangential tooth load because this is the force it makes to cause transmit the power or motion from one gear to the another gear. The dynamic load is occurred due to inaccuracies present. When two gears are meshed together, it may be there may be a clearance between the tooth of the meshing gear, or the gear tooth may be not be a straight one, or it may be any okay the gear will transmit the motion power. The gear tooth may be undergo bend or bend shafts, right? So many other reasons, that, and also when you sudden applied load here, the shock and impact load acting on the one gear to the another gear, suddenly you go for transmit the motion power. Those are load comes under what type of load? Dynamic load. In the dynamic load, both magnitude or direction will changes with respect to time. That load is called as a dynamic load. Or when the body is accelerated, the velocity changes with respect to time, then you can see the dynamic load. Then wear load, as you know, the surface destruction takes place. Then it may be a abrasive wear, corrosive wear, pitting or scoring. These are different types of wear. Due to that, the wear load is occurred. Now to overcome that, design of spur gear is an iterative process of assigning the specification of spur gear to the standard loader to do its function. Remember this definition. Yeah, now we'll go for this in detail procedure of design procedure of spur gear. Yes, I hope this slide is visible. Yes, anyone, please give me response.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yeah, visible. Thank you. Consider two gears. So one is a smaller in diameter. That gear is called as a pinion. That gear is called as a pinion. The gear which is in smaller in size, that called as a pinion. That is always represent as notation number one. Remember that. Another one, consider one more gear which is in larger in size compared to the first one. Then that type of gear is called as a, simply that we will call as a gear. The larger in size of the gear is called as a, simply called as a gear. It is that we, what is the notation we use here? 2, right? The center distance between the two gears is A. We don't know which one is driver, which one is driven. It may be gear A, pinion is driver, or gear is driver. It may be a gear, the gear 1 is driver or gear 2 is driver. We don't know. It depend upon the problem in which they given the statement. Based on that, given the data, based on that we'll go for choose which one is driver and which one is driven, right? Yeah, now what are the notations we use? The first notation is A. A stands for what? The center distance between the shafts. And this notations always will go for an alphabetic letter A to Z first, then you go for use the symbols. B stands for phase width of the gear. C stands for dynamic load factor or coefficient. Whenever this dynamic load will come to the picture, then we'll go for use this dynamic load factor. It's a constant, is a coefficient. That is in, that you get in Newton per meter. That we'll discuss in detail when you go for design procedure. CS stands for service factor. Service factor means whether you go for light duty, medium duty, heavy duty, or it may be 3 to 6 hours or 8 to 10 hours duty per day or 24 hours duty per day. Means we want to operate 3 to 6 hours or 8 to 10 hours or 24 hours in a day. We go for operate the gears and transmit the motion power. Next, CV, or that is equal to KV. Some textbook they will use CV, in some textbook they use KV. In data handbook they given both the terminology. That is called as a velocity factor. Okay, velocity factor, that is, depends upon the velocity, mean pitch line velocity. Okay, there's a factor is nothing but constant. Then D stands for what? Physical diameter. Suffix 1 stands for pinion. Suffix 2 stands for gear. Right, D1 is physical diameter for smaller gear, as called as a pinion. D2 is physical diameter of larger gear, or simply called as a gear. E stands for Young's modulus in Newton per mm square. Again, E1 and E2. E1 stands for Young's modulus for pinion. E2 stands for Young's modulus for gear. F stands for load. Again, suffix T stands for tangential tooth load. D stands for dynamic load. W stands for wear load. Next, I stands for speed ratio, velocity ratio. The speed ratio or velocity ratio is nothing but it is the speed of driver to the speed of driven. This is, remember here, this is a very important formula. For A section students already they know this. Velocity ratio is, or speed ratio is the speed of driver, means one which it is, the shaft is connected to the prime mover, that is called as a driver. Right? The speed of driver to the speed of driven. Speed of driver to the speed of driven. So write down this equation. This is a very important equation. Speed of driven. Yes. Next, load stress. This K stands for load stress factor. Load stress factor. Okay. Again, that will be used in for wear load. And N stands for the speed in RPM, revolutions per minute. 1 stands for pinion, 2 stands for gear. The speed of pinion rotate in RPM, the speed of gear in RPM. P stands for power. Two P's will be used. If you use the P, small p, that is a pitch, circular pitch. Another capital P stands for a power in kilowatt. As you know, the circular pitch is equal to the circumference of this circle. The circumference of this circle, that is pi into d divided by number of teeth. So as you know, d by z is nothing but what? Module. This Q stands for ratio factor. Again, it's the ratio of the between the diameter ratio, or it may be a number of teeth ratio. That also used in wear load. R, small r stands for physical diameter. R suffix 1 stands for what? Physical diameter for pinion. R suffix 2 stands for physical diameter for gear. Right? And V stands for V is equal to Vm, mean pitch line velocity. This mean pitch line velocity is also called as the circumferential speed of a smaller pulley, smaller gear. That is equal to circumferential speed of larger pulley. Circumferential speed of smaller pulley, it is pi. The general formula for the mean pitch line velocity is pi dn by 60, right? Pi dn by 60. That is d is in consider as in mm. Then it divided by 1000 again. Then it become a 60,000. Then it gets in meter per second. Meter per second. Then Y stands for Lewis tooth form factor. Lewis tooth form factor, it is in terms of the number of teeth, and capital Y is equal to pi times of Lewis factor. Z stands for number of teeth. Z1 stands for one suffix 1 stands for number of teeth on pinion. 2 stands for number of teeth on gear. Right. Next, sigma suffix. Now this symbols we use. Sigma stands for normal stress. Suffix O is allowable static stress. 1 stands for pinion, 2 stands for gear. And alpha is a pressure angle in degree. It may be a 14.5 degree or 20 degree, 20 degree, full depth involute or 20-degree step involute. Okay, these are the notations we used for before going to design a spur gear. You can check in data handbook also chapter number 23. Before the starting that, first in the chapter you can see the first equation, next figures, next tables. Before that equation, figures and tables, you can see the notations. Each notation stands for what. You will not use all the notation. Some notations we use. Those notation you can see that. And in this you can see the figure. That the smaller gear we call as a pinion. That notation is 1. The notation is 1. Similar to the pinion, whatever the data we should have, that is d1 diameter of pinion, n1 speed of pinion in rpm, z1 number of teeth on pinion, e1 Young's modulus of the pinion material, then sigma naught 1 all about static stress for the pinion. Similarly, suffix 2 stands for gear. These are the data, new data required. The notation we use when you go for solve the problem. Yeah, now these are the steps we should follow. Already I assigned the material, the design procedure in the last class, right? Just we go through this. There are 5 steps are there. Again, each step, sub steps also, you can see that. First, how do you design that spur gear? First, you have to identify the weaker member. This step number 1, identify the weaker member. Which one is weaker? Whether gear is weaker or pinion weaker? How do you decide? We have a table, that is go for constructed table. In the first column, particulars, always 1 stands for what? Pinion. 2 stands for gear. Pinion and gear, the particle. Then you go for take the all over static stress. Now how do you get the all over static stress? By referring the table 23.18. So you go for the data handbook, you'll see that 23.18 is take the, for a given material for the pinion and gear, we'll go for choose the all over static stress for the pinion and gear by referring page table 23.18. Similarly, go for take the Lewis tooth form factor. That is how to get Lewis tooth form factor by referring the equation 23.1152, 23.117 from the. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Some internet issues are there. Yes, please check me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
The PPT is also visible. Yes, PPT is also visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, how do you calculate Leavitt tooth form factor? By referring the equation number 23.1152, 23.117. Okay. Then you go for, then directly I go to the data handbook. Now, how to take those datas? Okay. So first I want to take the all over static stress. What is the table number? Table number is S 23.18. Am I right? Yes, 23.18. Go to date from the data handbook 23.18. See that for a given the material for pinion and gear. See the first column is a material. I think data handbook is visible. Give me response.
Yeah, sir.
Yes,
Visible.
sir.
Yeah, based on that, pinion is made up of, for example, carbon steel. Index 1045, for example. Then 1045 say that take this, which value go for take care all over static stress in MPa megapascal. For example, is a 220 megapascal that you are consider. Similarly for gear also, sigma 101, sigma 02 by using table 23.18. What is the next one? All over static stress that by referring equation number 23.115, right? 23.11, sorry, 115, 23.1152, 23.117. 23.1152. Yeah, 23.1152 to 23.117. See that Lewis tooth form factor. How do you decide? Based on the pressure angle. 14.5 degree pressure angle, or 20-degree involute, full depth involute, or 20-degree stub involute. Based on the pressure angle, we'll go for select the Y formula. Lewis tooth form factor. Right? Next. Now we'll go for put for pinion y is equal to y1, z is equal to z1 in that equation, right? Put where for pinion put y is equal to y1, z is equal to z1, then we'll get y1 equation. We put for gap z is equal to z2, y is equal to y2 will get. Then you want to calculate sigma naught 1 and y1, sigma naught 2 and y2, which is a smaller value is there in this sigma naught into y, which is a smaller value. That smaller value, this shows sigma naught into y shows the load carrying capacity. The which one are having a load carrying capacity is less, that that member you should take as a weaker member. See that since the load carrying capacity of the teeth, the load carrying capacity of the teeth is a function of the product of sigma naught into y. The which one is smaller value, whose value is sigma naught into y is less, that will be the weaker member. If sigma naught 1 y1 is less than sigma naught 2 y2, then which is a weaker member? Pinion is weaker member. If sigma naught 2 y2 is less than sigma naught y1, then which is a weaker member? Gear is a weaker member. Then you go for design is based on which member? Design is based on the weaker member. It may be a pinion or gear. That first step is identify the weaker member. How do you identify? Then you go for construct the table. Go for construct the table. What is the table contains? One is particulars, second all over static stress, Lewis tooth form factor, fourth one is product of all over static stress and Lewis tooth form factor. Then which one is a smaller value? That will be the a weaker member. Suppose if the pinion and gear are made up of both same material, then what we will do? The pinion, that is a note we have given here. If pinion and gears are made up of same material, then which is the weaker member? Always the smaller in size of the gear, that is the weaker member. Remember that one. Then read the problem carefully. In the problem itself given, both the gear and pinion is made up of same material for cast iron or cast steel. Then no need to go for construct the table and identify the which one is weaker. Directly we can write the pinion and gear materials are same, are made up of same material. Therefore, the weaker member is a pinion. Then you go for right. Design is based, should be based on pinion. You can avoid the steps also, right? So remember this note. That completes what? First step. Is any doubt regarding the first step? If you have doubt, please unmute yourself and ask me the question. First step, identify the weaker member. Now, once you identify the weaker member, it may pinion or gear, then design is based on that weaker member. Over. Next, second step, once you identify weaker member, okay, 10 minutes only time is left. Once the session is ended, please rejoin the session after the 10 minutes. Yeah, once you identify the weaker member, then you go for design against the static load. Next, design against dynamic load. Then design against wear load. Remember first step over. One more step is then you go for take the dimensions of those component, both gear and pinion. These are the 5 steps. Clear? Now we'll go for second step. First step, identify the weaker member. Next, second step, design against static load. I think it is visible, or else I'll go for zoom it.
Zoom it, sir.
Zoom it. Okay. 1 minute. Yeah, now it's visible.
Yeah, sir.
Now it is visible. Okay. Now first you go second step, we go for design against static load. Means whatever the load acting on the member, the
Yes.
magnitude and direction of the load does not changes with respect to time. Or it may be steady load, means the velocity of which the gears are rotating is constant. That is steady load is also called as static load. Once you go for design against static load, first you have to determine tangential tooth load due to what here? Power transmission first. Tangential tooth load due to a power transmission. How did you determine tangential tooth load due to power transmission? Again from the data handbook, equation number 23.87b. In this you can see that Ft is equal to 9550 P into Cs divided by N into R. Now how this formula comes? As you know that what is the formula for power? Power is equal to, does anyone know what is the formula for power? When it undergoes angular motion, the components undergoes angular motion. The power formula is torque into angular velocity. Am I right? Again, what is the torque? Is nothing but force into radial distance. That is a force. Force into radial distance. What is the angular displacement? Omega is equal to what? 2 pi n by 60. Am I right? 2 pi n by 60. Right? Now take the call the constant on one side. Now from this Ft, F is equal to what? We'll get the 9550. That is, we'll get in radius in what we consider in millimeter. Convert into meter, we'll get 1000. It is divided by 1000. Right? That will become a 9550. The constant will come P into CS. CS is what we call as service factor. Okay, there's a light duty, medium duty, or heavy duty. Okay, P is the power that should substitute in watt, not kilowatt. In data handbook is given kilowatt. Make it corrections. P is not in kilowatt. Substitute P is in watt. CS stands for service factor. What is N and R? N is nothing but the speed of the vehicle member in RPM. R is nothing but physical diameter of the vehicle member. See the where P is nothing but power in watt. CS is service factor. How do you get the service factor? Refer 23.13. There's a page number 23.76. So why do you give the page number? Means the table is not continuous here. 23.11, 23.12, 23.13. That table is not in the order it is. It is somewhere it is. That's why you give the page number. In order to difficult to identify where the table 23.13 means, directly go for refer this page number. That's why written page number. The tables are not in the order. Okay. If page number is not given means those tables are in the order itself here. If the service factor, the service is not given, then you go for assume. What type of service you consider here is a medium shock. And how many hours the gears will operate here? 8 to 10 hours duty per day. Clear? Where N and R is the speed and the physical diameter of the vehicle member. Right? What is R? R is nothing but what? Physical radius. That is the physical diameter divided by 2. Again, what is the physical diameter? We don't know. That is in general we write here. We know the module is equal to d by z. From this, what is d is equal to m into z. M into z divided by 2. Okay. This is the what the design against static load. In that first bit, determine the tangential tooth load due to power transmission. In this, which is unknown here, the module is unknown. The module is the unknown. Okay. Next, once you again you want to see the data handbook. For this, again we'll go there. Yeah, what is the equation number? The power equation it is 23 point. Is anyone 23.87b, right? The 23.87b, see this, the tangential tooth load, the tangential force is equal to 9550 P into CS divided by N into R, 23.87b. Here F is in Newton, is given P is in kilowatt, make it correction, P is not kilowatt, it is only a watt, okay? So make it corrections in the data handbook. P is in watt only. Okay. Next R is RPM. Then where do you get service factor? Service factor you get in, so we are referring table number 23.13. Now go to 23.13, the table that will not get in the order. What's the page number? 23.76. 23.76. Yeah, 23.76. Yeah, see this, the table is not in the order here. See the 23.34, 3334. Here we get 23.13, the service factor. How do you take the service factor? If the value is given, static shock, light, medium, heavy shock, and how many hours it operates, then you go for choose that value. If that data is not given, then you go for assume which one here, medium shock, and then 8 to 10 hours duty per day. That is what is the value got here. I hope you know that is a one CS is got 1.50. Yes, is understood. Yeah, this is the way you go for calculate CS value. Next, after calculating CS, now tangential tooth load that you get in terms of module is unknown. Next, you go for tangential tooth load from Lewis equation. As you already know that what is the tangential tooth load from Lewis equation, that is Ft is equal to sigma naught into B small y small p kV, that is equation number 23.93. This is already we are familiar with that, right? What is sigma naught? Allowable static stress for weaker member. B stands for face width. See that face width. See the face width. What is the value of face width we consider here? It values varies from 3 pi m to 4 pi times of m module. Means its value around 9.5 module to 12.5 module. That you can see that the equation number 23.132. Now which value you have to assume here? Now throughout our problem, we will assume B is equal to how much? Is a 10 times of module in millimeter, where m is stands for module. Okay, remember this value. B is equal to 10 times of module. Now what is Y? Lewis tooth form factor for weaker member. P stands for the circular pitch, that is pi d by pi d by z. That is a d by z is what? Pi into m. That you can also see the equation number 23.2. Next, kV. Kv stands for velocity factor. That depends upon the mean pitch line velocity. So if you want to calculate kV